my name is Abigail and welcome back to Polyglot Progress. Today is June 2nd, 2020. No, it's actually 2021. This is going to be a pretty interesting month. I start a new job in 4 days, and as a result, the language learning routine that I had so perfectly kind of crafted and was finally getting into totally has to change. And on top of that, I just have a lot going on. My sister is actually currently visiting me. I am planning to, at the end of the month, go and visit some family, and just in general, starting a new job I feel like comes with a lot of change and a lot of adjustment. But I'm hoping that this is going to be a good month. I started off strong in terms of language things. Yesterday I woke up at 7:30, and then because I didn't need to be up, I just sat and read for about an hour. And then I did all of my ASL homework and learned the vocabulary for this week, so I also got that done. And then this morning, same thing, my alarm went off at 7:30. Felt a lot more tired today than I did yesterday, but I still got up and I read for another hour. Both times I was reading in French, which is great because I really felt like previously one thing that I wasn't doing great in my routine was including French. It's been good just to get me back in the French mindset, and also I have found a lot of words that I don't know in French in these books, and it turns out that I don't know them because I don't know them in English either. So I've been expanding my English vocabulary at the same time, which is really cool and fun in general. Now I'm trying to plan out my month both in terms of language learning and in terms of just life, and it's got me a little bit stressed out. I'm trying to decide if I want to maybe take a break from the next Queer ASL cycle and start up again in October and just take one more level this year, take the 103 level, or if I want to start ASL 103 at the beginning of August, take that, and then take one of the 104 classes. You can either pick storytelling or conversational, and I'm not sure which one I will actually take. Also, one last aside, one thing that is not happening with my Q3 goals. I said that I really wanted to complete the italki language challenge. I said that I've signed up every single time and something always comes up, and you know what? I got so close this time. It ends in 3 days, but like I said, my sister is here. I am taking this ASL class tonight because my sister's doing something else, but other than that, I can't really sign up for more unless I want to take time away from being with her, which I don't want to do. But I got 10.5 hours out of 12 hours that I wanted. I'm literally taking an hour and a half language lesson tonight, just not on italki, and I also have taken, I think since the time that the challenge started, about 8 or so hours off of italki. So I hit the goal, just not on italki, so for the millionth time, I will not be getting the little language challenge badge. Very sad. I did end up signing up for the ASL class, so it's going to be right after work for me, about 30 minutes after my day ends, for an hour and a half on Mondays. And then I booked some Bulgarian italki lessons for an hour before I go to work in the morning. I'm going to have to see how I like it, and I mean, maybe if after this first week of work I feel like it's not possible to do ASL, I'll just not do ASL. So I've been editing my June recap, and it's been strange to see the difference in how I'm feeling just within the past like 2 weeks. Currently the 10th of July. We are barely into July, but the way that I was talking about my language learning and how I was feeling in general at the end of June versus how I'm feeling now is quite different. Just for the past maybe week, I've been feeling really frustrated and really sort of, I don't know, disappointed and let down with my language learning, and I guess kind of more self-conscious and just feeling a lot of negative kind of feelings. And I said at the end of June that I wasn't expecting July to be super smooth, and I think that's exactly what's happening. I started my job on Tuesday of this week, so I worked for the past 4 days in this new job, and my sister was actually also visiting with her boyfriend from the 1st through the 9th, so up until yesterday morning, which meant that a lot of my free time before I started working and my evenings after working were spent kind of hanging out with her and doing things like that. I've been feeling so tired that in the mornings I haven't really been getting up and having time for myself before work. I've been getting up and then going to work. So I think I'll be fine in a week or two, completely honestly. I might even be fine this upcoming week once I have done a full week and now it's moving into the next one. But the mental exhaustion has meant that at the end of the day, I honestly just do not want to study. I do not want to watch a show where I have to try to figure out what's happening, and I haven't had any calls and things like that. And so I think truly the problem is just that I have needed to adjust my language learning to meet what's going on in my life, which is good. But I don't know, something about not having the frequency of doing it and not being in a routine, I start to feel really bad. Not even necessarily about my study habits, but about my progress in the language itself. And in turn, that makes me not want to study because I just feel so upset and frustrated and guilty and kind of like I'll never be able to do certain things, which again, I'm just gonna point out, I do objectively know is untrue and like so silly. And so it's been great that in the last year I've been able to recognize that it's because my routine isn't going well that I start to have these feelings and can kind of try to squash them down as fast as I can, because they're so founded in nothing and just so unhelpful also. So I definitely need to work on that over the coming days. I'm planning to just kind of pick a few small goals that I can really work on this month and really try to achieve in a few or each of the languages that I'm studying, and hopefully feel a little bit just better about those things, feel a little bit of a sense of accomplishment, and not be in this kind of state for too long. You know, make some decisions with what I can do and what will be too overwhelming and will cause me to burn out, because I really liked my schedule I had before. I think that's part of my frustration. I loved my language routine and I felt really good about everything I was doing and felt like I could even add more, but I don't feel that way right now. So some of it might just come with being more settled into this routine. Some of it might need to be things that I adjust. 2021 has been such a year of change for me. It's been so hectic, but all good things. I feel like I'm in the best place that I could be right now with the things in my life, but I just need to figure out how to get language learning to fit into that nicely. I have been telling myself not to film one of these kind of speaking clips until I film more just general study clips, but as a result, I have so much stuff that I want to talk about that I'm now going to try to condense in the shortest span of time that I can, so it's not an epically long part of this video, just me talking to you about things. But I definitely have quite a few language updates, I guess starting with today. It's a good place to start. I had my first Bulgarian lesson in probably like 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks today. Basically, first I started being a little bit busy on Sunday mornings, and that was when I was taking lessons. My tutor doesn't teach on Saturdays, so I couldn't take lessons Saturday mornings. So my solution to this problem is one that I think stresses my love for the Bulgarian language, and that is that I am now taking lessons Friday mornings before work. So I woke up this morning, I had a lesson from 7 to 8, and then I closed my one computer and opened up my work computer and went right to work. And it actually went really well. I was a little bit worried about it. I just posted my speaking video, and in it I talk about how I like to have a routine that involves me having like 30 minutes to an hour before I start my lesson, but I did not have that this morning because I prioritized the little bit of sleep that I could get, and it went totally fine. I actually think that this was my best Bulgarian lesson in a little while. I haven't been as great with studying the last few weeks as I would have liked to be, so I'm ready to start getting back into that. Really, the only language I've been having lessons for has been ASL. One thing that I do want to mention for Bulgarian though is yesterday I started doing something that I've never done before. I took an article that was written for kids. It's like a news article, sort of like Time for Kids, on sort of a website that felt a little bit like that, and I started transcribing the article. So I wrote out by hand each thing. That's what the kind of yellow bits are, if you can see. And this is honestly the first reading outside of textbooks that I've done in Bulgarian. I of course have done kind of the example reading exercises in textbooks, but I don't really count that as having read anything in Bulgarian. But I really haven't felt like I'm at the level to do it, and even I knew it was going to be beyond my level doing this, which is why I'm doing this kind of new transcription translation type thing just to help me out a little bit. But I was really surprised at how much I was able to do. I would say that I highlighted about 50-40% of the words, which is too many. It definitely isn't something that I would typically read. I typically look for things that are definitely much closer to my reading level when I practice reading, whether intensive or extensive. But I really wanted to push myself. I've been feeling so stagnant with my Bulgarian, but not stagnant in a like I'm not making progress, intermediate plateau kind of way, just to like I'm drowning because I don't know enough Bulgarian, but I also can't seem to learn any kind of way. And so I'm really excited about this. It made me feel a lot more confident too. Like I said, I had to look up about half the words, which is very many and shows how little I'm capable of doing right now in Bulgarian. But for me, I'm definitely looking at it more from the perspective of I could understand 50% of the words, and for me in Bulgarian that feels like a huge deal. So I'm very, very happy with that. I wanted to kind of come up with a structure for myself for my more intermediate languages, or languages I'm working towards getting to an advanced level. This year have really been focusing on not trying to progress so much as trying to enjoy using the languages, and I've found that I'm naturally progressing that way, but I'm not stressing about it so much. And I've been doing more in the languages because I'm just enjoying, you know, reading books, watching movies, all of those things. And I want to continue doing that. But I definitely go through spurts where I do want to push for a little bit more progress, or I just want to kind of feel like there's some sort of guidance, because I've found that reading in German, I don't know every word, but it's very hard to know what I need to get myself to be able to know more, if that makes sense. So I made myself this list for German that I am now kind of trying to go through and do for other languages as well, but German is the one that I've fleshed out the most. So basically I made a struggles / to work on next list. So I went through and put down anything that I feel like I struggle with. So I want to just review all of that, and I want to practice specifically using it in natural speech. And then I made like a list of vocabulary that are topics that I want to work on next. One of my topic lists is roller derby. So I've been reading Wikipedia articles, reading articles written in German originally about roller derby, and so I've been compiling for myself a vocabulary list of relevant terms that I'm finding through reading all of these different things. And then after I have that list, I am going to practice speaking about those things, and I'm going to practice writing about those things. So basically I'm just giving myself kind of themes. And so then going off of that, I also wanted to focus on sort of cultural elements, since that is part of my German goal this year. So what I did was I looked up a list of things that you're kind of expected to be able to talk about when passing a B2 or C1 exam, and I sort of ran with that and came up with my own ideas and things. So I have on here like talking about cultural values in Germany versus in the US, or other things like that that maybe I don't know that much about culturally in other countries that speak German, and also kind of put me in that more advanced direction. It might not help me learn the words that I necessarily need to read Percy Jackson, but I think it'll be something that kind of keeps me interested. And I do like that approach of kind of learning the words through context reading, and then making myself a list, and then using that to work on output and that kind of thing. So I'm definitely gonna apply that structure to other languages as well. It won't be how I always kind of work on those. I don't want to be focused as much on like time to sit down and learn all the words in this topic and then be able to output them and pass the C1 exam. It's just not my goal right now. But sometimes I do like having more structure, and sometimes I want to work on really giving myself a push forward with new vocabulary and new skills. So I think that this will be good for that. As you can see, I am already with my family, so I'm going to try to wrap this video up really quickly. This month was one of those kind of perfect summaries of my language learning, in the sense that it had really good highs and really big kind of low points. But I can honestly say at the end of this month, I'm feeling really good again. I guess not as good as I was feeling before this month. I think I'm definitely still adjusting with my new schedule and figuring out how language learning fits into my new kind of schedule and lifestyle. I've definitely been very busy the last few weeks, especially with knowing that I was going to be coming to visit family. I have really been putting a lot of time into Polyglot progress stuff, and I've had work going on and just all of those kinds of things, so it's really still made it so that I haven't gotten fully back to language learning. I still haven't been taking very many lessons, but in the month of July I did have my last ASL class and was able to give a presentation on some photos of me and my friends and family and my pets, which was really exciting. I didn't end up actually filming a clip of this, but I did decide that I'm not taking 103 this cycle. I know I'd said that I signed up for it, but the way that it works, you sort of sign up and then you're asked to put down the deposit and then your spot is confirmed, and I just decided that I wasn't going to put down a deposit. I let them know that I wasn't going to be taking the class this cycle. So I'm hoping that in October, November, whenever the last cycle runs, I will do 103 then, and then I'll have 3 more courses, assuming they don't add any more courses that I can take next year. For now though, I just really want to focus on my other projects a little bit and work on doing ASL stuff on my own time. I had a Bulgarian lesson 2 days ago that went really, really well. I feel like it was my best Bulgarian lesson yet. We talked for like the first 10 minutes in Bulgarian. Granted, it wasn't a very deep conversation. It was very simple, and also it took me a long time to form sentences, and also those sentences were incorrect most of the time. But I'm feeling really good about my progress there. I'm also almost done reading that article, so the first thing that I'll ever have read in Bulgarian is almost done. I'm really excited about that. Another thing I didn't mention in this video is I met up with Natalia Garza twice this month, which was really fun. We are going to be posting some collab videos soon, so you can keep an eye out for those. And I think that's about it. I'm feeling better in general, just from that kind of lower point earlier this month. I think sort of giving myself guidelines for what I'm doing in German helped a lot. I think just getting back into a routine has helped a lot. I'm also now actually studying Bulgarian for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on when I get out of bed in the morning before work. So on Fridays I do have a Bulgarian lesson from 7 to 8, but every other morning I'm just kind of getting up and then doing as much Bulgarian as I feel like until I have to go to work. And it's worked out really well. It means that I do Bulgarian every day, and it leaves the afternoons for me to do Spanish and German and whatever else I feel like. And so that's about it. I'm ending on a high note, and I'm feeling really positive about August, honestly, because I feel like I'm now settled enough into my work routine that I can really focus on building up my language routine to surround that. And just with the nature of this job, it's a lot more stable than my last kind of working situation was, so it's going to be a lot easier to fit a consistent language routine in. So I'm very excited about that and my language learning plans. I'm very excited about all of the things that I'm working on for Polyglot Progress, and I'm very excited to share another month of my language learning with you next month. As always, I would love to hear about what you did in the month of July and what your plans are for August. I will see you next Wednesday, and remember, practice makes progress.